Got it.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Jeannie Edmonds. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of NextTribe. It's a travel company for women over 45. We also have a very interesting magazine, kind of sassy, for all you women over 45 who like to know about things other than travel. Today, we're joined by Dr. Reesa Woolf, who I think I met at a NextTribe Out Loud event. Didn't we meet at the Wildflower Center in Austin?
Years ago?
Yeah, couple years.
BC before COVID?
Yeah, BC before COVID. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, she is an expert on speaking. She trains TED speakers. She is the author of the bestseller, Mr. Bear Speaks Without Fear. And she is the CEO of Confident Speaking. And before you got on, I told the story of being a CNN reporter and talking to millions of people down a little camera lens, no problem. Standing in a room full of 10 people, freaking out. So I want to know, what is the difference? So tell me, what is the difference between like standing in front of a camera or recording your voice where nobody's looking at you and speaking in front of a crowd? What does that do to your body, your mind, your psyche?
Well, you have hit the nail on the head. That speaking is speaking. So clearly we're trying to get ideas from our head into somebody else's head. So that's the goal. And what happens is that you have identified that here I am speaking, and as everyone here knows, we have two voices speaking to us all the time inside our own heads. No one can hear them but us. And it's our, all day long, we're using our inner wisdom to leave on time and to take another route to get there. We're just, trusting ourselves. We're using our experience. But when someone says, okay, now walk up here on this platform and talk to the people in this ballroom that are sitting at rounds in front of you from here until where you can't see. And some other voice starts talking, and that's the crux of it. I studied with Dr. Albert Ellis, the man who invented cognitive therapy, and that's why I have these unique ideas and work so fast.
And you have ideas that are, it's almost like you're engineering how to give a speech, right? How to talk about, because you've got it step by step in your book.
That's absolutely so. When I taught public speaking for Fortune 500 people, I did 3-day long seminars. People would say to me, you kept my attention for 3 days. And I would say, and that is what I'm teaching you to do. And that's the kind of thing that I put into this book. The point is that most people have an idea of what they're going to say at the meeting or on the phone call or on the Zoom thing, or, or with the client or with whatever. They go in and they keep it in mind, and then they speak. And that's the first time they've said it out loud. Well, pretty much that's a checklist of things you should do prior to the meeting. So a lot of being more comfortable and confident is to know how to put your thoughts down on paper, even if it's, a sticky paper that you have your outline and you stick it next to the camera. So you look really smart. But thinking ahead, what is it I want out of this meeting? What is it I want them to do or know about when I'm done? And then working backwards, what could I tell these people that would make them want to do what I have in mind? And having that structure when you're planning a meeting is helpful. And of course, when someone turns and asks a question, which is the second most dreaded thing that people who fear public speaking have, is every meeting, most of their career, they're afraid of being called on. I mean, that's a long bunch of years of suffering. So the point is that once they get that easy to follow template, then it's in their head when someone asks a question, they can just answer in the same way. So the structure was first. But since I know that I wrote it only really for people who have public speaking fear, I have a doctorate in psychology. I put 45 tips to stop public speaking fear because I've researched this for 25 years. This is my dissertation. This is my culmination of that work. And because I taught public speaking, I put it in a form that's easy to learn. So it's a combination of skills and experience with with a talent for transferring information to people's heads. I wrote it like a children's book, so it looks really non-threatening.
It does look non-threatening, and the Mr. Bear motif, I think, is helpful, because I think, you know, if it were a serious looking business book with a, you know, very terse looking, I think it wouldn't be very inviting, and maybe not a lot of people would read it, and it wouldn't have been a bestseller. So the other day I talked to a guy who is a breath work expert, and he does breath work for executives, and he told me that everything is about the breath. And when you control your breath, you can command the stage. Tell me about that.
That is an important element. I'll tell you what I thought as you were saying it. The first thing is, when you're focusing on your breath, you're not focusing on the wacko voice that's currently in your head. So that's one of the main benefits, is that if I'm going to be counting to 5 slowly and holding for 5, and breathing out for 5, maybe through noses or mouths or whatever that person's recommending. When I'm busy doing that, I'm not paying attention to the devil that lives in your brain and doesn't pay rent, or call it what you wish. I usually ask people to, you know, really personify that voice. So that's one thing. The other thing is, when we're scared, we tend to hold our breath. So that those are 2 easy reasons. So that is an element, without a doubt. And I like it.
Mm-hmm. And is it one of your 45 tips?
Oh, without a doubt. Oh,
yeah.
God, yeah. No. That's it's really a great idea. And the point is that since I studied this for so many years, different things work for different people. It depends where did you don't have to analyze where the crazy programming came from. As an example, I've been active in different groups. I was at a weekend thing, and this woman, I tell her what I do, and she says, I do the same thing. I'm a 4th grade teacher. I make the kids get up there and give speeches. And if they're not good, I say, oh, that's terrible. Sit down. And I thought 2 things. One, she's the one that causes me to have clients when they're 35 years old.
Yeah, exactly.
Second thing is, that woman shouldn't have been allowed to be around children
to teach. Yeah, exactly.
But the point is not only was the kid who was humiliated, did he say to himself, or she say to herself, I am never going to be in this position again. I am never going to do this public speaking stuff again. Not only that kid, but every kid watching said, I'm not going to put myself in that position. I am never going to get up and give a speech. I'm not going to be humiliated like that. So can you see how one small act, and when I say to clients when they first begin, so has this been around for a while? And they'll go, well, you know, I remember that I had a coach who said, or I had an aunt who said, and it's like, people have to remember that kids are humans and are listening. But the punchline here is that most people who have fear they have a lot of junk in their head. And my job that I do really fast is I take out the junk, fix it, give it back to them. And then it fixes a lot of things, because it's essentially social anxiety.
Social anxiety is what, oh, that's so interesting. What about the technique of picturing the whole audience as naked?
See, I wouldn't do that. That would distract me from my little notes here.
So that's not one of the 45 tips, but I've read that
one
before.
Of my tips. I don't try to, the only thing I do is I kind of blot out most of the audience, and I just, talk to a few people at a time.
So you pick out 1 or 2 people in the audience and just like focus on them because you feel like they're giving you, because is it like being on stage in the theater where it's a give and take with the audience? Live theater is kind of that way too. And
well, I would say it depends on the speech. Certainly when you're at a regular meeting at work,
right,
you're looking at their reactions and all of that, because you're taking that to adjust yourself. I mean, when you communicate, it's really being on. You have to really be on, and that's why it's important to be in your right mind, your inner wisdom mind, as opposed to your wacko crazy mind. So that's why you want to fix it, because you need everything to be aware. Now, in a larger group, you wouldn't be in front of a larger group unless you've either given that talk before or you've given a fair amount of talks.
Uh-huh.
All of us
I
have
see.
all of us have suffered through people who are experts in our field who have been, in the back room researching, and now they're delivering their research, and it's just so painful to watch them. But that's far, few and far in between. When you're in front of people, you deserve to be there, and that's the whole other thing, is that whole imposter thing is, yeah, I'm here, and that's completely fixable.
Well, that I wonder how fixable that is, because isn't that a common trait with women in
Yeah,
our age group?
that's
We
gonna, you know
all
what?
feel like
That's gonna be
imposters.
my next book after I fix public speak. Now I've
Yeah,
done that. My
yeah,
next one is going to be on the imposter thing, because I do hear that a lot, and I know the answer. I know how to fix it. So
totally.
this
If you know how to fix that, you make $1 million, man. That's great. I think
okay.
that's
So if you represent me, Ginny, then
I think it's a good idea. I'll
or if
tell you
anyone
one.
else, pardon me, if anyone else on this call wants to represent me, and we would be go forward
Okay,
together on this, because
good.
I just think of good ideas. Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
yes, totally. So I was once talking in front, and not recently, not too long ago, because I read a book and I was speaking to a group of about probably 40 people, which made me very nervous. And they had a really bad microphone. And
Oh,
I could see this woman in the back kind of wincing as I was talking and I was thinking, man, this microphone is so terrible. It's annoying people. I should just put it away and just speak, in this room where
uh-huh.
it's just 30 people. But I didn't do it because I was so nervous. Help me out.
Yeah. Well, if you could turn back time and relive it, tell me what you would do instead.
I would have done it without the mic.
No, but okay, so you would, at what point would you have, like, okay, all of a sudden you realize, oh, the mic isn't working. At how long would you wait until you said, you know what?
To do it over, I would have said, hey, this mic doesn't seem to be working, and people would have probably been relieved. Yeah.
Okay, so there you go. Even Babe Ruth didn't hit a home run every single time.
Well, I don't want to make this about me. Everybody else wants to know, about your wisdom about public speaking. So if anyone else has a question, please either put it in the chat or unmute yourself and you can ask her directly. And while we're waiting for your many questions to come forth, I'll just keep asking some questions. Okay. I haven't read the book yet. Because I'm using the Larry King method. Larry King never read books either before he interviewed anyone, because he wanted to be at the same level as the audience. So let's discover the author. Let's
Yes.
discover what's in there.
Oprah used to do that until she made a big
Yeah,
mistake.
exactly. Oh yeah, that's right.
She doesn't do it anymore.
Yeah, that's right. So can you, without divulging, without like breaking any confidences, since you train some TED Talk speakers, which is the apotheosis of speaking beautifully, right, in a short period of time, can you tell us what TED Talk speakers you train so we can go and look at them and see if you're any good in your training?
The first one was someone who actually found me. He was an expert in electric cars, like 20 years ago, and he's been known, like BMW sent him an electric car for the first one to say, hey, try it out, give us your feedback.
Wow.
And they invited him to, I think he went to Berlin or something. So that was the first one. And then I realized, oh my gosh, I trained people in these 3-day seminars for years, for 20 years. And I thought, I got such good evaluations. I thought, well, you know what, I'm going to be a convention keynote speaker. And so I did that, and I traveled a lot. It was fun. I was really good, but I realized I have a skill above that, and that I'm able to make anyone a confident speaker. And that was really quite a long time ago. And that's really the thing that I do, that in 2 ways I make people a confident public speaker. The TED Talk is, when you do a TED Talk, it's even more polished than a convention talk. It's really like a Broadway play, because it's 18 minutes,
performance. Yeah.
But do you notice how some of them look like they're reading and memorized, but most of them don't? And you notice, this is the big thing about TED Talk speakers. There's certain things. You notice how TED Talk speakers hold your attention the whole 18 minutes.
The entire time.
Right. I'm the one who teaches them to do it, and that's by choosing better words, choosing a voice delivery, body language, making it really a congruent package. And it just happens that, you know how there's frequently, everyone here has been in the working world, there's sometimes people who, when that person speaks, everyone turns and listens and pays attention the whole time to them. And if you
Well, yeah, I mean, you look at a Tony Robbins, or you look at the people who really speak for a living. By the way, we're starting to get a bunch of questions in.
Oh,
You're
good,
so
good, good.
popular.
Well,
But there's one for one-on-one. So I think I'm going to say that to later, since we're still talking about speaking to a bigger group, even in a room. By the way, you're talking about meetings. That never occurred to me that that would be an issue. I need to frequently give Zoom presentations. Any tips for that situation?
Oh, yeah, yeah. So are you the speaker or are you a participant? What is your role?
Speaker,
You're the speaker. So the thing,
presenter.
yeah. So when I came on, I looked, I've spent effort. I took a class to, when I thought I'm going to do a bunch of podcasts. And as soon as I got on, they went, "Oh, you got to fix what's behind you." So all of this was like created. I went and got a whole bunch of red tops because I thought, well, maybe I'll start. You know, I don't know. I'm evolving right now with my next stage of my career, but I thought, well, that would kind of look good. I So you want to present yourself well. Make sure that you can see your face. Look where my face is. It fills the picture, not too much, not too little. Also, I have a lamp in front of me, and that's what highlights my face. And I'll show you what I don't have. When I'm working, I have a working lamp that I like, but it doesn't look good on camera. So really be conscious of, not having a window behind you and stuff. So look at yourself and go, is it obvious before speaking, if I were with a group of strangers, that I'm somebody?
So wardrobe, lighting.
All of this is an act.
Yeah. So wardrobe,
yeah,
lighting, background, wardrobe, lighting, background. What else? What can you say to keep people engaged?
I wear stronger makeup just so that Zoom picks it up. I have lipstick near me. Every once in a while when I'm doing something, I'll like cough to the side and throw on some lipstick.
And what about your tone of voice? Is there anything to do with that, or your hand movements, or what do you need?
Yeah. So I will defer to the book Mr. Bear Speaks Without Fear, which is only 100 pages. I wrote it as a story, but also I can't stand learning from those fables like Who Moved My Cheese, but it's just like that. But at the end, I summarize the whole entire chapter in an outline, because I like, when I want to read a book, I go, oh God, just send me the outline. So I wrote it for both. And then also I summarized all the public speaking fear tips at the end of each chapter. So I'm going to defer to that because it goes in detail, following not only how this guy learns to do the voice and the hands and the eye contact and all of the subtleties, but also it does it brings up all of the stuff that fearful people think. See, I was with public speaking fear for 25 years. I've researched it for 25 years. I know the 15 things that people are going to say and ask and fear. So I put those 15, 15, and 15 as my table of contents. So it's a killer book.
Okay, I'm ordering it as soon as we get off this call. I'm going to order it from Amazon because I just looked it up on Amazon. I'm going to order it. And I know you'll know if I ordered it or not, because as an Amazon author, I know you can see what sales you made that day. So I promise you'll get at least one sale today.
Well, cool.
Okay, so Mars had a question. Who is the best TED Talk speaker you have ever heard?
I like Brene Brown's first talk because she was so real and so natural. When I look at it now, I don't think it's up to date. I think it's that things have gotten a little funnier, more sophisticated, more sleek, more efficient, more concise. They're actually down to 12 minutes now. And so, but that one really captured it. It's, for me, it's like watching the movie that I like, that I just like the acting. I like the pause that actress did. I like the fact that she turned and then said the thing. I watch Harry Potter over and over again. There's just any good acting is what you need to do when you're speaking. You really want your body and everything to be congruent with your message. And it's not like this, as I said it to everyone already. This is my Dr. Wolf act. When I leave here, as soon as we hang up, I'm back to being Reesa, just like everybody else on this call. So
well,
the point is work on how you look. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm so sorry. I saw a TED talk the other day because I saw David Byrne's Stop Making Sense movie. So I decided to go watch his TED talk, which is very old, but it's about how architecture informs music. So the topic, it has informed the evolution of music. It's fascinating. He dumped a bunch of clips into it, so it's really interesting to illustrate his points. But it was one of the best most interesting TED Talks I've ever seen. But if you know David Byrne, you know he has Asperger's and he's not emotive at all. And when he's humorous, he doesn't smile. But he commanded that stage and he kept your interest because of all the little clips that he had in there. But I wonder to what extent smiling and humor really is important, no matter what your topic is. Even if you got a rough topic, you got to like bring the audience in somehow. So do you have to start with a joke, even if you're doing a rough talk?
Jokes on. Let me first address smiling because it's really two different issues, and the second, using humor. Smiling is important because you want your body and your voice, everything to be congruent with your ideas. So if I say everyone's going to be laid off next week, can you see how that doesn't work?
Right. Right.
Yeah, everyone here is getting a raise at Christmas.
That's right.
Yeah. So have I made my point? So not only is that incredibly, it's so incongruous that it really kind of proves the point that being congruent also brings it home. If I say that, we're going to, this is so funny. If I watch this video, I would be so on this person for touching their jewelry the whole time. What are you thinking? This is so funny. I'm going to keep this in mind that no matter what, because I really am a huge expert in public speaking, but I just think it's so funny. But anyway, so, I mean, just to say, in fact, I would say I just demonstrated something. When you make a mistake, you fix it and keep going. Just like with your friends. So I made a mistake and I made a joke about it, one on myself, and then I fixed it. And I now at the end, I won't say, oh, and by the way, I'm sorry about the necklace, because you've already forgotten it.
Yeah.
See, public speaking and communication is a psychological game.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say before speaking to anyone, especially people you don't get along with, think ahead, plan ahead. What are you going to say? What are you going to hold your tongue about? I could go on and on because I used to teach a lot of different things. I'm an expert in a number of things that I don't talk about anymore.
Well, this congruency thing, if I have to think about congruency, it'll never work. But so I'm thinking practicing in front of the mirror is the only way
I would say
to fix that, right?
That's the only mirror work that I suggest. Because I don't want you thinking about you. But I will say, if I decide that I want to smile on a certain word or something, and I'm going to be nervous, I'm in front of 400 people, how am I going to remember? I'll make some notation in my notes to remind myself.
How about walking back and forth across the stage? How useful is that? Is that to emphasize a point, or should you continue to prowl like a panther across the stage to keep people interested?
There are two camps on that. The comedian Eddie Murphy and Chris Rock, they both feel, well, I can keep attention better if I keep moving. And to me, it's distracting. Maybe it's because I have a touch of dyslexia or something. But my idea is that you plant yourself and then you purposely move. Like if you have finished a topic, you might say, no, what can we do about this? And then you move, but plant yourself again. Or when you click on a screen while people's attention is there, you might move around. But I mean, it really is what you think works best. When you watch people, do you like it when they pace? Do you like it when they stand still? I like to do the combination.
What about volume of your voice?
It's important that you match the volume that the audience expects. So
Mm,
when I've spoken in Europe and in Japan, I have changed my tone.
mm.
And also I speak slower because even if you speak English as a second language, you still have to switch it over. But I want to bring us back to another topic that is something that I really want to leave people with, and that is humor. If you're going to use humor in a talk, what I suggest is that you find someone who might be there or someone similar to them, and you don't tell them that you might use this in your talk. You just say that joke or that story to them and see their reaction. If they laugh, say, I'm thinking of using this next Thursday in the talk. What do you think? And they'll go, well, and they'll say yes or no. But I don't go in. I, humor is extremely touching, especially nowadays. People are like way off the charts of reality. So I actually am I use stuff that I know works because I taught it for like 25 years. So pretty much when I taught that unit, if I said that story, or if I say how I learned it, then you can use humor, and it's wonderful appropriately. But I would say rehearse with someone else, or just check with other people. Don't go in unless it's really tried and true. And nowadays, I'd make it just completely neutral. I would go out of my way to make it neutral.
What does it say? I'm not funny. Caroline says, I'm not funny. Well, if you're not funny, what do you do when you're not
I'll tell
funny?
you
That's a good
exactly what to
question,
do.
actually.
I'll tell you exactly what to do. The way to insert humor into your talk is to spend your Saturday or sometime when you really don't feel like working and you want to procrastinate, and you set a timer so you don't procrastinate the whole day. Clearly, I have learned how to handle myself a little bit better in the workplace. But the point here is that search for quotations in your field. What is the point you want to make? Self-motivation. So you read a couple hundred of them, and then you find 3 or 4 that you like, and you insert those in your talk. That's how you get to be funny.
What
And
about the
everyone will
use?
think you're charming. Yeah, sorry.
What
Yes.
about the use of PowerPoints and death by PowerPoint? Everybody's been subjected to that, forever, but they're still using them in TED Talks a lot.
Yeah,
I
no,
notice,
it's still PowerPoint is still really the standard. They're variations, but it still holds the lead.
Mhm.
It's to rehearse with your PowerPoint because it's a choreography. Secondly, I like very little on my PowerPoint. I probably do an outline mostly. But I remember I was not the opening keynote speaker. I was like a midday speaker at some event. So I went to some other people's stuff. And this one woman her visuals were 1 word each.
Yeah,
And oh man, that is
powerful.
really killer. So I like that a lot. So it whatever works. But just make sure that you rehearse with it so that your previous slide is not on when you're on the new topic, because then you're competing with yourself.
And that's speaking of competing with yourself. People put so many words on the screen so that you're trying to read that, where you're trying to listen
Yeah,
to them
no.
talk, and sometimes it's not the same thing. Okay, here's another question, Jennifer. How do you quell the physical reactions to nerves, beating hearts, tight throat, etc.? I'm feeling you. I'm feeling you, Jennifer.
Well, the big thing to know is all the physical reactions come second to thoughts. So
Mm.
it's all about, look, if you can talk all day long and then someone says, oh my gosh, that person's not here. Here's their talk, get up and do it. And you're insane and your body goes crazy. Clearly there's some other thoughts in your head. And that is, oh my God, I don't know what to do. They're going to hate me. This is going to be the end of my job. Why did they ask me to do it? What if I fail? What if I make mistakes? They'll think I'm not qualified. Now, all the junk that has been stored intensely in the grooves of your brain comes forth. And when fear starts, all creative thinking stops.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about the thinking first. It's always about the thinking. And that is that if your self-talk, and I went into the whole point, and this is one of the 45 tips in this material, is that you want to have in mind to help those people.
You mean to help the audience, what you're doing, and
You
what
have
you're saying
ideas in
is
your
help
head.
them. Right.
Yeah, and you do self-talk like, well, why is it that is appropriate for me to be here?
Okay.
What am I sharing that will help them? And put your attention on them and the value you're giving to them, just as you do when you talk at work. When you talk to 1 or 2 people, you're just trying to help them. So
Mhm.
it's exactly the same. We have this illusion that speaking at a meeting and a big talk is different. No, you just help them the same way you help everybody.
Okay. Thank
So
you.
that's really interesting that a meeting is the same, you use the same technique in a meeting, because, Jennifer, to make you feel better, Barbara Streisand throws up every time she goes on stage before she sings. So she's got some self-talk going on in her head. We'll read it in her 1,000-page book, which is coming out pretty soon. So we'll find out what that's all about. But, even somebody who's just brilliant at performing, she's got her reputation, she's been singing for years and still puking every time before she goes on stage.
Her thing is perfection.
Her thing is perfection.
We can't, well, I mean, someone has to really be committed to get over their perfection thing, because that is deeply ingrained, and I mean it's completely fixable. I bet a lot, I mean, I would say about a third of the people who come to me have this whole perfectionism wiring in their brain, because sometimes we have to be perfect. There are a lot of parts of our job we have to do perfectly, but not some other parts. So
are you a perfectionist, Jennifer?
Yeah, that's part of it.
We'll get you a little one-on-one coaching right here.
I think I need it.
So here's what I suggest. Pretend you're going to give a speech soon, and the fear will come, but have paper and pen next to you and write down all the fearful thoughts. Oh, if I make a mistake, they're going to think. If I do, and just write down all the things, like what's the worst thing that could happen, and all of that. And when you see how much junk is roaming in your head regularly, it's pretty much the same stuff for the last 20 years. So if you write it down and then go, is this basic cognitive therapy? Is it true?
Interesting.
Yeah, I think that's true. You could just reject them. You see that, you write it down and say, oh man, that's stupid. Why did I think that? Oh, that's dumb, right?
No, I wouldn't make any judgments. I would go, look at the junk that's been in my head. Ooh, I'm glad.
Oh, no judgment about it. Just say, look at you. Okay.
Okay.
Just say, look at that. Oh, and I've been on a kind of a personal development track. When I was in my freshman year, I took a psychology course, and they talked about that triangle, Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Yeah.
And at the top, it's self-actualization. And I remember thinking, I think I'll do that. That's kind of pretty much been the theme of my whole life. So it's very tempting to go, oh, I can't believe I just learned this. No, switch that, because that's the negative talk.
Yeah.
And now I would say also watch, learn as much as you can about that negative voice in your head, because it never goes away. It's there until we die, but you can learn to master it as opposed to having it manage you.
Okay.
And knowledge is out there. My book helps, but you can watch TED Talks, you can watch it, webinars, seminars. There's no end to the fact that it's not what happens. It's what we say to ourselves. The Stoics. I'm currently into the Stoics these days, because someone's making it really user friendly. Because
I'm following that.
I'm too dyslexic to understand it, and they said the same thing. It's not what happens. It's what do you tell yourself? What are my habits of thinking that I'm not even analyzing?
Okay.
And just remember I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on your line, but they'll never remember what you said, but they'll remember how you made them feel. Is that true? Is that true, Reesa?
I think, well, Maya Angelou's famous statement, I know that that's true. That's part of charisma.
Yeah.
Part of charisma is making people feel, having people feel not only comfortable, but my goal when I'm with humans on Earth is that their life is slightly better because I've been in their presence.
That's great.
I never made a rule of that. I just didn't get enough attention as a kid, and when I realized, gee, getting attention for being acknowledged by another human is a nice thing.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good thing, and that was it. That was day one of forever.
Well, you mentioned charisma, and I'm thinking, who is more charismatic than a preacher? You've got. Should you watch preacher, like these preachers that get you all riled up and everything? They really know how to command a stage and get you all motivated. And who should you watch when you're trying to think about?
So here's the deal. Look at people you like to watch.
Mm.
they look at people who hold your attention.
Mhm.
And one time, record them or watch them on some of these you can play over and over. And one time, outline the talk so you see how they organize their thoughts. The next time you listen to what words they really highlight. And then another time through, watch their body language. Do they pause in between things? Do they really act it out, or do they look stern? We all came from wacko backgrounds, and oftentimes we like things that are familiar, even though they're not so nice things. So everyone just watch the people you like and analyze it. That's what I've done. I belong to something called the National Speakers Association. It's people like me who make their living from speaking or something in the speaking world. And when those, the top people would speak at the conventions, I'd go, what is that one thing that woman's doing that's so cool? Or what's that? Like one guy had this kind of sense of humor. My whole family's really funny in various ways, but he did something I had never seen before. And I thought, ooh, that'd be fun to learn how to do that. I've seen movies that I've watched over and over simply because I was knocked out by the facial movement of the actress. To me, this is simply a hobby for me. It gives me pleasure. I don't know. I mean, my attitude, I told you, my desire in life was, to enjoy my life. And the work I did was like, I found work that was the least offensive that I could do. And it happened to be, I'm very good at teaching. I'm very good at teaching adults.
I do want to ask you a question about pause, because you mentioned pauses, and I know that's key. Julia, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm just curious about what you were curious about and what you wanted to know about from this talk. And you're unmuted, Julia, so go right ahead.
Oh, sorry. I didn't realize that you were speaking directly to me.
Yeah.
I'm just listening, and I was interested. The tips about speaking on a Zoom call were good to hear, because I do that a lot. I always prefer to. I should turn on my camera here. I'm sitting in my office right now, but prefer to have meetings in person when I can. I work in the office part-time and at home part-time, but I find it really challenging, even though I've been doing it for years now, to have the online meetings. Yeah, anything to try to make those more effective, and make sure that people are listening to you when you're speaking. Those are good. So, yeah.
So I'll give you really good news. There's nothing wrong with you. Nobody can tell if they're listening. If I have a complete rule that people have to be on camera. I did webinars this year in Rome and in Hong Kong, and they were like flipping out that they had to be visible. But the point is, I have to see when someone, when I can see the group is losing attention. The big thing on Zoom is people watch themselves.
Yeah, that's right.
Put a sticky on front of your face so you don't see yourself.
Yeah. I apologize. I'm just on my phone right now. I have my computer in front of me, but I started a new job in January, and the company that I was at previously, very few people used their camera, and I would have my camera on even if nobody else did. But the company that I'm at right now, the culture is cameras on. I really, really like that. It really makes a big difference.
I'll give you another hint. I mean, there's a lot of strategies to be respected and liked. Look at the dumbbells that everyone in this call has worked with, who have moved up because they can read the crowd and they adjust and they kiss up real good, and they know how to. They usually know. Like I remember one guy, he was absolutely brilliant. He was such a dumb shit, and he was so brilliant because he had 8 stories and 8 quotations, and he just put them in perfectly. It was a rollover crowd. I was doing outplacement, so it's always a new crowd, but people loved him. He was so my point is, first I was angry. How could this horrible person, everyone loves him, everyone respects him. And then I thought, let's learn from him. I studied him. And I study really good speakers when they do something. If I hear somebody use some little something, I'll use it, or someone suddenly opens with something that I've never heard an opener. It's a natural fascination for me.
Yeah.
And I study people who hold people's attention, and I persuade, because listen, there were very, very good speakers in the last century. One was Mahatma Gandhi, and the other one was Adolf Hitler. Brilliant people who got nations of people to do things. study them, but
Yeah.
mostly study people that you like to watch and do the work. You don't be, I'm a good speaker. Every time I speak for an hour, easily put in 8 to 10 hours beforehand. Easily.
Really,
I
really,
know.
that's interesting.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh, I did one for the whole state. Right after COVID, oh my gosh, I don't even know how many hours, because it was the first time I'd been in person for a long time. But you don't get great falling into it. And I would say the thing that people don't give enough substance to, or don't give enough credit to, is rehearsal. The first time through, everybody stinks, but I know that the fifth time I'm going to be good.
Did you
It's so
record your
awkward, though.
rehearsal? I'm sorry. Go
I
ahead.
don't record. I don't record.
Oh,
You don't record it. Yeah.
No, because I mean, I've really worked on everything. I know I'm congruent. I know I'm good. I just,
Yeah.
although I will still sometimes, I will put little notes to remind me either to step or put it in a new screen, or make your notes helpful to you.
Sorry, Julia, I
Thank you,
interrupted
Jennifer.
your last,
So before everyone leaves, I'll tell you, if you want to pick my brain again, I offer a 15-minute free call, and you can do that. And just go to Confident, it has a T at the end, confidentspeaking.com. My name, as you can see, is Reesa Woolf. So imagine a wolf, preferably an English wolf, like Virginia Woolf, eating a Reese's peanut butter cup. My mother wouldn't like it, but it is name recognition. So, and I'm all over the web. You can find me any place. And so I'd be happy to help you again. And if any of you want me to speak to, especially nonprofits and places like that, I'm looking forward to hanging out with you. I'd never even heard of the organization, and I've been lonely for people who understand my references.
and where you live in Austin? You need
I'm
to
in
come to
Austin.
our coffees.
Yeah.
Marcelina runs the Austin group. Are you on our email list? You need to be on our email list for the Austin group.
Well, I'll tell you, I'll give you my email right this second.
Well, we have it. We have it.
Okay.
I'll send it to Mars,
Right. So
but we
I
have
would
it.
say, if you want to be on my email list, pretty much like once in a while, I don't send out regular emails, but it's things like, here's a new way to say no without people getting angry.
Yeah.
So if you want, just write, just sign up for my newsletter. I don't since I created the website, it's not so complete. But if you want to say, just sign me up for your newsletter, I'd be happy to do that. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Reesa,
go
I
ahead.
was going to say, I met you at Creative Mornings when Mike Woolf was presenting, and you and I were standing next to each other during the part where you meet your neighbor and you introduce yourself to your neighbor. And I met
Oh my
that morning.
God,
That's how.
I remember you.
Yeah, and it was great because I mean, I'm a big fan of Mike Woolf anyway, and so it was delightful to meet you that same morning. So it was just a great morning all the way around.
Oh, marvelous. Well, please follow up, because I liked you then. And really, I've been looking for my tribe. I've been kind of a, no pun intended, lone wolf. And I'm really happy to connect with people who, I had a boyfriend that was 12 years younger, and it's like, I just couldn't stand the music. And I couldn't make jokes, because I would say, well, Jack Benny, he was a comedian who was like,
Yeah, no.
I'd rather hang out with y'all.
Marcelina, I think that you might want to take advantage of this 15-minute one-on-one, because your question is really about one-on-one communication. And I think that would be really helpful. So Reesa, I think or Dr. Wolf, she and Mars, you and Mars might want to have a separate session. And so the 3 ways of engaging: 1, we go to your website; 2, we can buy your book, which I'm going to do instantly as soon as I hang this up, especially if it's only 100 pages. I'll read that thing and I will absorb it. And I hope it gives me what I need in order to be able to speak in public, because I get asked all the time and I always say no, because I'm too afraid. And my husband keeps saying, you can do it. But
usually why people call me. So I would say to anyone on the call, if you want the book, I don't need the money, but I suggest, if you get the book and you actually take it as if it's a course.
Yeah.
So take it over 2 weekends or something.
Yeah.
And then if you have questions, I'll give you a half hour freebie to pick my brain. Okay,
so then we have the book, but then you have this, if we wanted to go further, you have a 3-day program.
Oh, no. Now I only do one-to-one training. So people hire me for 4 sessions, 6 or 8, and no, 4, 8, 12. Some people hire me on retainer. No, pretty
Okay.
much now I deal with business owners and
Mhm.
and engineers and techs in corporations who are they can't get out of it.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
have to
yeah.
talk.
So we can, so that'll be an hour at a time for separate meetings. Is that how it works? Yeah,
Mhm.
okay,
Yeah,
cool.
people always have 5-minute access to me in between appointments. It's very intense. And the reason it's not such a long time is that I work really fast. You can see I'm joking a little bit tonight, but I'm no nonsense. I'm really on them. I mean, if people want to be fixed, I can't stand, I really like going in, being a catalyst in someone's life, fixing them, throwing them essentially out of the nest.
You're
Okay,
gonna make me cry, Reesa, if I do it with you. I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna start crying and be so embarrassed and oh my gosh. But I can see myself headed that way. I'm gonna start with the book and then we'll do the sessions and then I'll be on a TED stage near you. So everybody be looking for me.
it's not, these days, it's not out of the question.
I know
It's not.
anybody can do a TED Talk. I think we
No,
should
you know why
all
people
have that.
you know why
Yeah.
people do TED Talks? Either they really are passionate about their topic.
Yeah.
It's very often because I would say mostly it's business owners and business type people, because even if no one watches the TED Talk, that picture of them on that
Heck, yeah.
30-second clip of them doing a TED Talk on their website,
Yep.
instant credibility. You know,
Yep.
I mean, it really is what is the value these days, and you can do it like at the junior college or something. You know, you don't,
Absolutely.
it's not. It still has cachet, even though it doesn't have as much substance.
That's right.
Often.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Dr. Woolf. We really appreciate your time. Did everybody get all their questions answered? I know, Julia, I kind of stepped on your last question, so you're
Oh,
okay.
that's
You're good.
No, let
Okay.
Julia finish, because just we'll
Oh, I think I was just gonna say that practicing a
so
presentation
so you said you
is
don't like Zoom because you can't see people, and
oh no, the comment that I was gonna say when
Oh,
a couple people were talking at the same time was that practicing a presentation is just I can't make myself do it like out loud. I can do it in my head, but
yeah.
it's so awkward
that is
to speak
Yeah.
to no one.
right.
So
So here's the deal: the first time out, you're going to stink, and you can either stink in your own bedroom to the dog and cat, or you can stink in front of the real people. You choose.
but I'm just saying, even just doing
mind-
it, getting myself to talk to an empty room. I mean, I guess I could pretend I'm on a Zoom call when all the cameras are off or something.
If
But
I gave you $1 million, would you rehearse? If I gave you $1 million, would you rehearse? No, I'm
not a
serious.
fool.
I happen to have $1 million. If I gave you $1 million, would you rehearse?
Of course, I would. Yeah.
Well, then shut up, Julia.
I'm just making excuses. So
Yeah, that's only your mean mind talking. That has nothing
yeah,
to
I
do.
know.
Would you tell any child that you're the auntie of? Oh, don't rehearse, honey. I can see you don't want to rehearse.
No, for sure.
Okay.
No.
So can you
Yeah.
see that by saying aloud what the junk in your head is saying, you
Yeah.
look at it and you go, I don't think that's the substance or the value I've been giving it. So that's
Yeah.
a perfect example. Go forth
Yeah.
and flourish.
Okay, thanks
you.
everybody. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it. Reesa, we really appreciate it. This will be on
Yeah,
our
thank you very much.
channel and this will be on our website probably tomorrow, as soon as somebody gets it
Oh,
up.
great.
Okay. Anyone
Okay.
who's asked a question tonight, email me and I will set up a 15-minute chat. Julia, we can continue. Everybody, Jen, we can continue.
Reesa, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.